Hello and welcome to History Talk, a show where I talk about history, and I severely regretted doing this one because it took so dang long. I was literally up till 1:30 in the morning writing this. Welcome to Period 5, a period that had a lot of stuff happening in it, but not as much as Period 6, arguably. Although this one also has 4 key concepts, whereas literally every other period has 3, so I guess a lot more did happen in this period. This occurred from 1750 to 1900, and its focus is industrialization and global integration. Keep that in mind. Integration. You'll get marked down if you don't say that. At least I did on a few of my quizzes. So, key concept 1, industrialization and global capitalism. Capitalize it if you have to. Factors that led to the rise of industrial production were Europe's location on the Atlantic Ocean, geographical distribution of coal, iron, and timber, European demographic changes, urbanization, improved agricultural productivity, legal protection of private property, abundance of rivers or canals, access to foreign resources, and the accumulation of capital. Development of steam and internal combustion engines was also a massive thing. It helped give people the ability to harness fossil fuels, such as coal and oil, which greatly increased energy available to humanity. Factory systems factory system concentrated labor was sort of formed, and that helps increase the degree of specialized labor, and the Industrial Revolution from Europe spread to the US, Russia, and Japan. Please note, the AP Institute sort of flips around between considering the US a culturally European state or not. So, yeah, that's the thing. The Second Industrial Revolution, or should I say Second Industrial Revolution, led to the production of steel, chemicals, electricity, and precision machinery. Mass production of single natural resources, such as cotton, rubber, palm oil, sugar, wheat, meat, guano, metals, and minerals. Oh boy, that was hard to say. And the decline of economically productive agriculture-based economies, such as textile production in India. All that happened. Industrialized states seek out new consumer markets for finished goods, such as the British from French attempts to open up Chinese markets, or should I say, open up the Chinese markets. I can't tell if you see my finger quotes, but I'm making them. Extensive mining centers, such as copper mines in Mexico, gold and diamond mines in South Africa, opened. Capitalism and classical liberalism, associated with Adam Smith and John Stuart Mill, formed. Financial instruments, such as stock markets, insurance, the gold standard, and limited liability corporations, expanded. Large-scale transnational businesses, including the United Fruit Company and HSBC, or the Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation, also took to the stage. Major developments in transportation and communication, such as railroads, steamships, telegraphs, and canals, were formed. Alternate visions of society, such as utopian socialism, Marxism, and anarchism, also came about because, apparently people don't like capitalism. I have a book on the history of anti-capitalist revolutions. So people don't like capitalism, apparently. Qing China and the Ottoman Empire attempted to resist change and stay pre-industrial, which was stupid on their part. State-sponsored visions of industrialization, such as Meiji Japan, factories and railroads in Tsarist Russia, and China's self-strengthening movement, along with Muhammad Ali's development of a cotton textile industry in Egypt. It's not Muhammad Ali the boxer, it's Muhammad Ali, the confusingly named person who's a leader in Egypt. Yeah, sorry, America. I wish it was the boxer too. And there's also various types of reforms, such as state pensions, public health, expansion of suffrage, public education, and there were new social classes. The middle class and the working class formed, family dynamics and gender roles changed yet again. Rapid urbanization led to unsanitary conditions as well as to new forms of community, which is weird that they grouped those two together, but okay. Take one more swig and we move on to key concept 2. So that was all key concept 1. Boy, this is... Oh good, this one's short but sweet. Sort of. States with existing colonies strengthen their control over them, such as the British in India and the Dutch in Indonesia. Also, fun fact, if there's a question concerning colonies and you don't know for sure what I think the list is, go for Britain. They just had so many colonies, you're practically guaranteed to get it right. European states also established empires throughout Asia and the Pacific, these being the British, Dutch, French, Germans, Russians, Americans, and Japanese. Yeah, okay. While Spanish and Portuguese influence declined. I don't think the Japanese are a European nation or state, but okay. European states used both warfare and diplomacy to establish empires in Africa, such as the Britain in West Africa and Belgium in the Congo. Europeans established settler colonies, such as the British in South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, and the French in Algeria. You see how I told you that Britain is like a freaking cheat for the system in terms of colony questions? There were so many. Industrial sites practiced economic imperialism, such as the British and French expanding influence in China via the Opium Wars, and the British and U.S. investing heavily in Latin America. And quick note on the Opium Wars. Britain, why are you so snobbish with your tea? Seriously, you didn't even invent it. You got it from the Chinese, who you were in such a large trade deficit with that your plan to get more tea was to become the world's largest drug cartel and funnel opium into China. When China said, "We don't want your stinking opium," you waged war and forced them to take your opium so you could get your dang tea. Okay then. Lesson learned, don't mess with the British and their tea, apparently. That's, apparently not a thing you want to do. Also, fun fact about the American Revolution, the reason the British got so, screwed over, or really, let me rephrase that. The reason the British got so tilted over the Americans throwing the tea into the Boston Harbor was because back then tea came in these, freaking huge, slabs, and you just take a tiny piece off and brew it then. So, one slab would last a couple months, and they threw entire crate loads of this stuff, I think even frisbeeing this stuff off of ships. That's a fun image. And they cost apparently billions of dollars worth of damage in today's currency. So yeah, I can kind of see why the British were a little upset about that. And considering that the Opium Wars occurred after the U.S. declared the revolution, I can kind of see why Britain... Actually, no, I still can't. Britain, what is it with you guys and tea? I like his stuff, but come on. I'm not going to become a drug runner or just funnel drugs into a country just so I can get some tea. That's what supermarkets are for. Come on. Anyways, that was a really big sidetrack, but it worked. There was also the expansion of U.S. and European influence in Tokugawa Japan, which led to the Meiji Restoration. Also, if you want information on Tokugawa Japan, check out this extra history series on the Sengoku period, which led to the Tokugawa shogunate. It's interesting. Just saying. U.S. and Russia emulated European transoceanic imperialism by expanding their land borders. Oh, and we were already seeing the U.S. and Russia being compared together, so you know that's going to be important later. Sorry if I'm not spoiling Period 6 for you. Anti-imperial resistance led to the contraction of the Ottoman Empire and the establishment of independent states in the Balkans, semi-independence in Egypt, French and Italian colonies in North Africa, and later British influence in Egypt. New states developed on the edges... That says edges. On the edges of existing empires, such as the Cherokee, Siam, Hawaii, and the Zulu Empire. Nationalism as an ideology fostered new communal identities, like the German nation, Filipino nationalism, and Liberian nationalism. And new racial ideologies justified imperialism, like social Darwinism and white man's burden. I don't subscribe to any of those. Those are absolute crap. Or really bullshit. Okay to say, because they are bullshit. Anyways, key concept 3. Nationalism, revolution, and reform. We have the rise and diffusion of Enlightenment thought that questioned established traditions. Thinkers like Voltaire and Rousseau applied new ways of understanding to human life. Intellectuals critiqued the role religion played in public life. Importance of reason as opposed to revelation was emphasized. Enlightenment thinkers like Locke and Montesquieu developed new ideas about the individual, natural rights, and the social contract. This all influenced resistance to existing political authority reflected in revolutionary documents, such as the American the American Declaration of Independence, the French Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizen, and Bolivar's Jamaica Letter. This also helped to expand suffrage, the abolition of slavery, and the end of serfdom. A sense of commonality based on language, religion, social customs, and territory effectively created, or really was, it's nationalism. That's literally the definition of nationalism. I don't know why I didn't just write that down, but sense of commonality based on language, religion, social customs, and territory, that's nationalism. Have fun with that. Subjects challenged and centralized imperial governments, like the Wahhabi rebellion against the Ottomans, the challenge of the Marthas to Mughal sultans. Was another one. Rebellions facilitated emergence of independent states in the U.S., Haiti, and mainland Latin America. French subjects rebelled against their monarchy. American Revolution, French Revolution, Haitian Revolution, Latin American independence movements. Those are all the ones you need to know, and they're all kind of interesting. Extra credits has one on Latin American independence movements. I'm just name-dropping them all the time, but if you want extra information, go to Extra History. That works. Slave resistance led to the establishment of maroon societies. These also challenged existing authorities in the Americas, like Brazil, Cuba, and in the Guanyas. That's what the textbook says, or what my notes say. Anti-colonial movements, like the Indian Revolt of 1857 and the Boxer Rebellion. Rebellions were also influenced by religious ideas and millenarianism. These being the Taiping Rebellion, which was notable because their leader said he was Jesus' brother. Just fun fact. The Ghost Dance, which sounds rad, and the Xhosa cattle killing movement. I'm putting that one up here so you can tell me how much I butchered that. Xhosa? Xhosa. I think it's Xhosa. Not sure. Reforms in political... I just looked at like 3 different things at once. Okay, I meant to say reforms in imperial policies, like the Tanzimat movement and the self-strengthening movement. There was also an increasing number of rebellions and new transnational ideologies and solidarities. Discontent with monarchies and imperial rule led to the development of political ideologies like liberalism, socialism, and communism. As the internet gets either tilted in, like, boo communism or yay communism. I don't care. Demands for women's suffrage and emergent feminism came about with examples like Mary Wollstonecraft's, that's a long name, Vindication of the Rights of Women, the Ompe de Gauge, I think that's French, I can't pronounce that, sorry, the Declaration of the Rights of Women and Female Citizens, and resolutions passed at the Seneca Falls Conference in 1848. And these challenged political and gender hierarchies. And so now we get to key concept 4, which seems quite separate from what we just talked about, but trust me, it's related. It is all about global migration. So this helps change existing patterns of living, and changes in food production and improved medical conditions contributed to significant global rise in population. And so, because of this, internal and external migrants increasingly relocated to cities. Many individuals chose freely to relocate, often in search of work. However, there is still coerced and semi-coerced labor migration, such as slavery, and Chinese and Indian indentured servitude, and convict labor. Many migrants permanently relocated. A significant number of temporary and seasonal migrants returned to their home societies, like Japanese migrant workers in the Pacific, Lebanese merchants in the Americas, and Italians in Argentina. These started to create increasingly diverse societies. Migrants tended to be men, so women gained more power in home societies. Ethnic enclaves in different parts of the world, like the Chinese in Southeast Asia, the Caribbean, and the Americas, and Indians in East and South Africa, the Caribbean, and Southeast Asia, helped to transplant culture. And receiving societies did not always embrace migrants, as we still see today. Various degrees of racial prejudice emerged, and states attempted to regulate the flow of people across their borders, like the Chinese Exclusion Acts and the White Australia Policy. Okay, so that was period 5. Join me next time as we finish this series off with modern history, period 6. The end of our journey and the beginning of my pain.